Hello and welcome to episode 66 or Order 66 of Tall Guy Talks Travel with Rick Doherty. Of course, I am your host, Rick Doherty. Today's episode is hitting the internet on May the 5th, so we're going to focus on yesterday's Star Wars Day celebrations and offerings at Disney's Hollywood Studios at Walt Disney World. My wife Courtney and I were there for the experience, and she'll be joining me to talk about everything. Before we get started, I wanted to remind everyone that I'm in the stretch run before my 620-mile pilgrimage on the Ireland Way to help victims of domestic violence. By next week's episode, I will have a ton of information about a very special program for which I'll be raising money and awareness. We'll be talking more about the walk itself in future episodes. Right now, let's welcome my wife, Courtney. Thanks for joining us, Courtney.
It's great to be here.
All right, so before we move on to any of the Star Wars conversation, we're going to start with a quick dining review from Woody's Lunchbox in Toy Story Land at Disney's Hollywood Studios. Courtney had never eaten here before, and she really wanted to try it out. Even though we were having a Star Wars-themed day, she thought that this particular quick service location was something she wanted to try. So she got 2 items from Woody's Lunchbox in Toy Story Land. What did you get, Court, and how did you like it?
Yeah, I got the grilled 3-cheese sandwich for $9.99, and this has melted provolone, cheddar, and American cheese on a grilled sourdough bread. You can also choose a side with this, and I chose the tomato soup. So overall, I really enjoyed this dish. I think it's just your classic comfort food, made really well, a lot of cheese. When we got it, I thought it was the perfect temperature and just made really well. The soup was actually rather rich, and it wasn't like the type of soup that you get out of a can. It was surprisingly a little bit better quality. Even your average grilled cheese and tomato soup tastes great, and this was better than average.
And then we sort of split the dessert, the raspberry lunchbox tart for $4.29. This is a raspberry marmalade stuffed pastry coated in a strawberry fondant and crispy pearls. So immediately when Courtney bit into this, she said that the frosting was a little bit too sweet, and I do agree with her on that, but I think overall it was a pretty quality dessert. $4.29 for this size of dessert, even at a quick service location at Walt Disney World, is really not that bad of a price. This was probably a really good dessert, especially coming off the grilled 3-cheese sandwich, which was a richer, heartier type dish, and having something sweet like this to counteract that was probably good for her, but I didn't have any of her sandwich, so I just tried this raspberry lunchbox tart. So for me, it was a little bit too sweet.
I really liked the tart too. I liked the marmalade inside. I thought that was a little bit different, yet, not too strange.
Since I've never really done a proper review of Woody's Lunchbox from my past visits, I thought I would just share my opinions on some of the other items I have had in the past, and that's the plant-based tachos. These are $9.99. It is, quote, chili, quote, cheese, green onions, and corn chips served over potato barrels, basically tater tots. This is really, really, really good. When you're talking about plant-based options at Walt Disney World, especially if you want one that's really good for the kids or something that reminds you of your meat-eating days, the plant-based tachos definitely taste like chili cheese tater tots. Sometimes the plant-based option has a very distinct taste compared to what it is trying to replicate, but this one does not. This tastes exactly like what it is trying to replicate. I would recommend this 10 times out of 10 if you want to eat at Woody's Lunchbox, especially if you have a plant-based diet. Then they also have the plant-based toasted cheddar sandwich. This is $9.99. This is melted, quote, cheddar on toasted sourdough bread, 100% plant-based. The only thing I'll say about this is the plant-based cheese that goes into this item tastes a lot like Cheetos. With the tachos, it tastes like what it is trying to replicate. With this item, while it tastes good, it tastes completely different than, for example, the grilled 3-cheese sandwich that Courtney had on May the 4th. So I think that's just something to keep in mind. I personally feel that Disney's Hollywood Studios has enough great dining that you don't really need to do Woody's Lunchbox. Maybe this is theming that the kids really like because they love Toy Story. Maybe you just waited 2 hours in line at Slinky Dog Dash and you wanted to do a mobile order from Woody's because you want to eat the second you get off the ride. I understand all those things, and there are reasons to eat here. Personally, even if you're going for a quick service, I would recommend ABC Commissary. I think their food is a little bit better. Also, heading over to Docking Bay 7 in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Or, and we'll move on to this right now probably, getting a Ronto wrap at Ronto Roasters in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. All of those, in my humble opinion, are better options than Woody's Lunchbox. But since it was May the 4th when Courtney and I were there, we decided that at least I would get a food item at Ronto Roasters to celebrate Star Wars Day in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. So we actually went to Ronto Roasters before Woody's Lunchbox. It was just the way it worked out with mobile ordering times. I wanted to get something from Ronto Roasters, so my thing actually came off of the breakfast menu. I got the Triple Suns breakfast wrap for $11.49, plant-based egg, smoky chickpea onion slaw, and roasted tomato sauce wrapped in pita bread. This was fantastic. When I first bit into it, I felt like the egg, that was obviously this artificial egg, tasted like real egg. I do eat egg in my regular life. I'm not 100% vegan. I'm a vegetarian, so I do have egg and cheese a lot of the time. But if I can get a plant-based egg, I like to try it. At the beginning, it tasted normal. I will say that as I finished the wrap, it started to taste more like plant-based egg. The smoky chickpea onion slaw was the star of the show here. It added a nice vinaigrette flavor, maybe a vinegary flavor. It's hard to exactly pinpoint it, but along with the tomato sauce, it really brought out the flavors of everything else that was in the wrap. I liked this not as much as some other plant-based wraps I've had in the past, and we will talk about that in just a minute, but we also shared the non-alcoholic drink, the Tatooine Sunset. This is $5.99 Gold Peak unsweetened tea with Minute Maid, premium lemonade, and melon and blueberry. I only had a couple sips of it, but it was a hot, hot day, and I would say this is a great drink for a hot day because it's very, very refreshing.
I totally agree. I love this drink. I know I've gotten it a few times before, and it's very refreshing. All of the flavors just kind of blend together and give you an overall nice flavor, not too sweet.
In previous visits to Ronto Roasters, when I've been there during the day, I've gotten the zucchini wrap for $11.99. This is grilled zucchini, smoky chickpea onion slaw, that same onion slaw that I mentioned with the breakfast wrap, creamy garlic tahini sauce, and fresh cilantro wrapped in pita bread. This is my favorite. I liked this a lot more than the breakfast wrap, even though I did enjoy the breakfast wrap. This zucchini tastes very, very hearty. That is not a vegetable I normally eat very much, but the way that they seasoned everything, it really brought out the natural flavors of the zucchini, and I think because they grilled it, that brought out even more flavor from it. I would definitely recommend the zucchini wrap off the lunch and dinner menu. And in past visits when we were there for lunch or dinner, Courtney has gotten the Ronto wrap for $12.99, roasted pork, grilled pork sausage, peppercorn sauce, and tangy slaw wrapped in pita bread. I know Courtney has loved this item.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not normally a person who likes sausage all that much, but this is a great one. It has a great flavor, great texture, everything goes together well. The pork was actually very light, almost more like a turkey to me, and the whole thing in its entirety was a very generous portion. So, yeah, I give this a thumbs up.
And in past visits, Courtney also had the Ronto morning wrap for $12.49, eggs, grilled pork sausage, shredded cheddar, and peppercorn sauce in pita bread. A lot of the same things that go into the normal Ronto wrap, of course, adding eggs. But did you think this one also held up its end of the bargain?
Yeah, this one was great too.
So before we move on to some of the specialty treats that were available on May the 4th, I'm going to go into a little monologue about the celebration for Star Wars Day. As I hope you all know, I'm not pointlessly negative, and I'm not even going to be overly negative about what was offered on May 4th at Disney's Hollywood Studios in Walt Disney World, but I am going to be a little bit negative and know that this is not me complaining. It's just letting you know what the day was like when I was there. I love Walt Disney World. I love Star Wars. I love Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. I am not complaining. I understand how blessed I am to be able to experience these things as much as I experience them. But this was a little underwhelming of a celebration. There was special merchandise available for May the 4th, and that's great. Everybody loves those collector's pins and different t-shirts, and Baby Yoda was on some of the stuff, and everybody loves Baby Yoda. Boba Fett was on some of the stuff, and even more people love Boba Fett. But you had to get into one of those long boarding group processes to try to even get the chance to purchase some of these items. People who got there really, really early in the morning, as they should, were able to get better priority to buy some of these items, but we did not get there that much after the park opened, and our number wasn't called until like 3:30 in the afternoon. By that time, we had seen everything that was available to purchase, and we decided we didn't really want any of it, so we didn't use our time. But this special merchandise and then the food items that we're going to mention later were basically all that was happening at Disney's Hollywood Studios, the home of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, on May the 4th, Star Wars Day. Last year, November 13th of 2021, Disney celebrated Disney Plus Day at Hollywood Studios and had more Star Wars stuff for you to do that day than they did on May the 4th. As a matter of fact, the following week on Life Day, November 17th, I also went to Hollywood Studios, and I think they had better merchandise for Life Day than they did for May the 4th. And it is undeniable that May the 4th is a bigger Star Wars celebration than Life Day. If anybody doesn't know, Life Day is the holiday that they celebrate in the Star Wars Holiday Special. So that's more of a niche celebration, but May the 4th should be bigger. Darth Vader met at Disney Plus Day. Darth Vader didn't have a meet and greet on Star Wars Day. The only characters we saw on Batuu, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, were Rey, Chewbacca, Vi, Kylo Ren, and the Stormtroopers, and you can see them literally every day in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Now, to be fair to Walt Disney World, there are reports that meet and greets with Star Wars characters are going to be returning to Star Wars Launch Bay at Disney's Hollywood Studios, and maybe May the 4th sprung up a little bit before they were ready to have these meet and greets return. I understand that. I just feel maybe you could have brought back the Stormtroopers marching through Hollywood Studios, not just back in Galaxy's Edge, but through the entire park. Maybe you could have Darth Vader meeting next to Star Tours. All right, I'm just going to say it. Anybody who's seen the Galaxy Far, Far Away show that was in Hollywood Studios before they opened Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway and took up that space right in front of the queue for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway knows that somewhere backstage at Disney's Hollywood Studios, they have a Boba Fett costume. The Boba Fett show, the Book of Boba Fett, is extremely popular. Boba Fett has always been a very, very popular character in the Star Wars universe. It would have been so easy to have a Boba Fett meet and greet for May the 4th Star Wars Day. You have the costume already. Everybody would have lined up for this meet and greet for 45 minutes, an hour, 90 minutes. You know how crazy the Star Wars fans can be about this stuff. And I would have waited in a 2-hour line to get my picture taken with Boba Fett. I was preparing myself mentally to do that because I was sure they were going to take that great idea. Like I said, I get it. I am spoiled. I get to go to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge all the time, to the point that maybe it has lost some of that special feeling for me. But I was thinking maybe for May the 4th they would bring in some of these other Star Wars experiences. It just feels like they missed a huge opportunity. Now, I will say some people who did not miss a huge opportunity were the Disney Bounders. Those people who put on their best Star Wars cosplay and showed up in droves at Disney's Hollywood Studios. And some of you impress me so doggone much. Our friend Haley was there, and her outfit was, pun intended, absolutely out of this world. We saw some Rays, dark Rays, saw a couple Padmes. I saw a guy dressed as Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I almost stopped him because I thought it was Ewan McGregor. Like, there were some people who did such a good job with their Disney bounds that I was just in awe. I'm sure their Instagram posts were amazing, and we didn't even stay until it got dark. So I'm sure when everybody got together for their lightsaber meetups in front of the Millennium Falcon and they lit them and held them in the sky, I am sure that was awesome. The Star Wars fans were definitely some of the biggest highlights of this event.
I totally agree. And, you know, Disney is always fun. It always has a lot of entertainment, rides, all of that good stuff. But part of the fun for me is the overall atmosphere, especially when you see people enjoying Disney and enjoying their favorite characters, favorite movies. You know, you see the cute little girls and boys in their princess costumes and great costumes at Magic Kingdom, for example. And at Halloween time, of course, many guests are in all kinds of costumes, but definitely Disney themed. And then May the 4th was no exception to that.
And listen, we're going to be honest, it was a very hot day on May the 4th, which is no surprise to anybody who's ever been anywhere near Florida. So it was a hot day. It was a little bit crowded. I'm not going to lie and pretend that a lot of guests weren't cranky, and that feeling does sometimes bleed over to you no matter how much you're trying to stay in the spirit. But any small complaints we have should not distract from the fact that I'm very happy that I got to spend Star Wars Day at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. We took advantage of some of the special magic shots from PhotoPass. Now, we're obviously recording this episode on May the 4th, so we haven't gotten the chance to see all of the magic shots because sometimes they take up to 24 hours to load into your My Disney Experience app. So I'm sure there are going to be some really, really exciting shots. I know we were running away from somebody's ship. I think it's probably Boba Fett's, but we'll find out when we get all the pictures sometime in the next couple of days, and I will definitely throw them up on my Twitter page at Rick_Ear. Make sure you check those out in the next couple of days. Now let's move on to some of the treat options, some of the food options that were made available, and we tried almost all of these at the churro carts in Grand Avenue Market and Anaheim Produce. This was available May 4th and May 5th. The lightsaber churro served with chocolate sauce. To get both of these churros together, the red and the blue, it cost about $15, and I'm just going to say this one wasn't worth it for me. The red churro was way overcooked. You could tell it was sitting under that heat lamp for a really long time. As a matter of fact, it kind of curled a little bit, and it was really hard when I bit into it. The blue churro, That had definitely been sitting there for a lot less time and was much, much better. But I still don't think either of these churros were worth like $7.50 or whatever they cost. Did it make for a fun little photo op? Yes, it made for a fun photo op. The chocolate was okay, and it definitely helped that red churro that was overcooked. It kind of helped to soften it up a little bit. But overall, I probably wouldn't have gotten this if it wasn't for the photo op. So just keep that in mind. They basically do this May 4th every year. So just keep that in mind for next year. If you want to do the photo op, obviously go for it. But if you don't, this probably isn't something that you're going to get as a snack.
Yeah, so I really agree with you here, Rick. Unfortunately, it was just not the best texture. I've definitely had bitter churros, and you can skip this one.
Honestly, once you've had a Disneyland churro, don't ever have another churro at Walt Disney World ever again. At ABC Commissary, Backlot Express, Pizza Rizzo, and Rosie's All-American Cafe, you could get, and we did get, the Jettison Juice. This was Minute Maid lemonade and watermelon served with a glow cube. It is non-alcoholic. I will tell you, I couldn't tell what was the fruit juice flavor that was hiding behind the lemonade, and then when I read that it was watermelon, that definitely made sense to me. It was really good, really refreshing. Like I said, it was a hot, hot day, and this really hit the spot. The glow cube in the middle made it really good for pictures, made it really good for Instagram, but we didn't end up keeping the glow cube, even though you could do that. I would say it was a fun drink. I'm glad I got it, but it was way, way too expensive for how much drink you actually got when it came out to like $8 or something like that. At Backlot Express, Pizza Rizzo, and the Trolley Car Cafe, you could get the Dark Side Chocolate Creation Malted Milk Chocolate Mousse Dome with raspberry mousse filling, slivered almonds, and chocolate shortbread cookie. Courtney had to eat this one because I am 99.9% sure there was gelatin in it, and as a vegetarian, I can't have that. But if you're wondering why this Dark Side Chocolate Creation was Star Wars themed, they actually did a really good job of making this look like Darth Maul. It's kind of hard to explain. Once again, I will put pictures up at Rick_ear on Twitter, but it definitely looked good. Courtney, how did it taste?
It tasted pretty good. I kind of could take or leave this. It was maybe a little too sweet, but I did enjoy the chocolate mousse and the raspberry mousse. I just do feel like maybe Disney relies a little heavily nowadays on these type of gelatin desserts. So you start feeling like they're all the same. And this one was a little more of a gummy texture rather than a light, fluffier type texture. So, take it or leave it.
So Disney listed this next thing as a special May the 4th treat at Backlot Express, the Wookiee Cookie. But trust me, this thing has been available and will be available for quite some time. This is 2 oatmeal cookies with vanilla cream filling, garnished with a milk chocolate sash on top. The milk chocolate sash is obviously there to remind you of the sash that Chewbacca wears, and then the oatmeal cookie itself is sort of the same color as his fur. I've had this a number of times. I really, really like it. I would say that this is something that you should get when it's not a special Star Wars celebration, but you are a Star Wars fan and you want to get that Instagrammable Star Wars treat. I don't drink, and Courtney kind of tossed around the idea of getting this alcoholic beverage, but decided against it in the long run. This was available at the Brown Derby Lounge, the Oasis Canteen, and Sunshine Day Bar. It's the Cosmic Rum Punch, Parrot Bay Coconut Rum, Bacardi Superior Rum, Pineapple Juice, Minute Maid Lemonade, and grenadine served with a glow cube. I tell you what, if anything says Star Wars and space wizards and Jedi mind tricks, it is that drink, because that is definitely on theme. Now, obviously, they just put together a drink concoction and slapped a Star Wars name on it. Courtney probably would have really liked it if she had gotten it Even when I was a drinker, I didn't like coconut rum, so that one is definitely not for me. At Docking Bay 7 Food and Cargo in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, they brought back the Oi Oi Puff, raspberry cream puff with passion fruit mousse. We have had this item in the past. It's pretty good. It wasn't good enough that we decided we had to rush and get it this time, even though it was back for a limited time for Star Wars Day. We also passed on the Galactic Swirl funnel cake available at Epic Eats. This was black and white funnel cake with strawberries, space dust, and candy rocks. I'm sure this was really good. We had just already had a lot of sweets, and we maybe didn't need something like this. Because I did go to one of the popcorn stands and got the Interstellar sweet and crunchy popcorn, caramel popcorn, cookies and cream pieces, and sweet and spicy pecans. I really, really liked this. It took a little bit until the spice came in the back end of things. It started off pretty sweet, but not like sickeningly sweet. And then as it got sweeter and sweeter, maybe you got a bite of one of those cookies and cream pieces. Then all of a sudden you just get that little kick of spice right there in the back of your tongue to bring out all of the other flavors, the flavor of the popcorn, which also helped to deaden that sweet taste. All of this together, an absolute home run. I loved this dish. I actually still have some of this popcorn because I wanted to save it. It was expensive. The bag was $7.50, and it wasn't a gigantic bag of popcorn. But when you consider Disney prices, it was probably about par for the course. I'm glad I got it. I probably would never get it again unless they slapped some Star Wars name on it and tried to sell it to me on May the 4th. While we were at that popcorn stand, we also did pick up, not Star Wars related, the new Skyliner popcorn bucket. We needed that Walt Disney World Skyliner popcorn bucket to add to the collection with our Orange Bird sipper cup and our Figment popcorn bucket. The Skyliner popcorn bucket is specifically a 50th anniversary celebration popcorn bucket, and Courtney thought this was something that we had to get to add to the collection. Sometimes I feel like we pick up a little too much junk at Walt Disney World, but she made some good points, and I'm never one to turn down throwing something else on the bookshelf. And I think this popcorn bucket is going to look good there for sure. And just to quickly mention two things that were available outside of the parks for the May the 4th celebration. At Disney Springs, Amorette's Patisserie, they had lightsaber eclairs. Flavors included Mace Windu Berry Cherry, Master Yoda Pistachio, Rey Passion Pineapple, Darth Vader Dark Side Mousse flavored with cayenne pepper and cinnamon, and Obi-Wan Kenobi Blue Matcha. I know a lot of people who listen to the show love Amorette's Patisserie, and these all sound like they were incredible. Over at Disney's Polynesian Village Resort at Pineapple Lanai, there was the Millennium Falcon Star Wars Soft Serve Sundae, Galactic Gray Vanilla Soft Serve with chocolate cream cookie crumbles, chocolate drizzle, white chocolate pearl stars, brownie asteroid pieces with stardust sparkles, and a Millennium Falcon chocolate accent piece. Like I said, we didn't try either of these items outside of the parks, but I'm assuming that that one is probably one of those that looks really, really good on Instagram and is probably just okay when you're actually eating it. But you know what? Sometimes Disney has to do that. They know what's popular right now. In summary, I will say I'm glad that I went to celebrate Star Wars Day on May 4th at Disney's Hollywood Studios, but it maybe didn't live up to my expectations, but that's okay. For example, Disney Plus Day last November completely exceeded my expectations, so sometimes you're going to get your hopes up because they did something so well one time, and then the next time you're expecting them to do it just as well, and maybe they just bring an average performance, but still an average Disney performance is fantastic. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm in complete agreement with you here. You know, once again, we love Disney. We're really privileged to be able to go as much as we can go by being annual pass holders, living within a reasonable distance, all of those things. And yeah, so sometimes Disney just absolutely goes over the top, blows you away, and then you're expecting that all of the time. And this was just something a little different. So, somewhat underwhelming, but also, I agree with you. Any day at Disney is a great day.
Thank you so much for joining me, Courtney.
As always, thanks for having me.
Over the next few weeks, we'll be talking about Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party returning to Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World, my upcoming 620-mile pilgrimage on the Ireland Way, the 3-year anniversary of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge opening at Disneyland, free stuff at the Disney parks, and a whole lot more. This has been episode 66 of Tall Guy Talks Travel with Rick Doherty. We'll be back with a new episode next Thursday. Until then, have a great week.